Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast 23, season 2 of the Blue Collar Workers. I am, as always, one of your hosts, Sean, John, or 𝐬𝐝, depends on who you're asking. My co-host,
Chris.
It's a pleasure to always see you in this freezing November, but I'm still wearing a t-shirt. It's not that cold today for me to have to put a jumper on. Though, as Chris said, you're getting old.
Well, that you moaning about temperature shows you're getting old.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, the Belfastian blood is not holding off the cold as much as it used to. As always, this is your voice, your nation. It is a pleasure to have you back again for podcast 23. Today, on my side, I have got a variable involving a hoo-ha's of our dearly beloved Nigel Farage and his shit brown stain of the Reform Party. Farage says he's never directly racist abused anybody after school racism claims. This man is the walking innuendo for racism. He is the definition of closet Nazi. Jailed ex-leader of reform in Wales is ancient history, says 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐿. No, he's not. He was the reform leader of Wales. He's not the Brexit or the UKIP party leader of Wales. He was the Reform Party leader of Wales. That's not an ancient history. Moron. Minister denies budget leaks have damaged the economy. They clearly fucking have. The economist here would tell you otherwise. That has clearly fucked with our economy. The Windrush czar fears repeat of citizenship scandal on the approach of the ultra-right wing. Over on Chris's side.
Got the Brexit latest figures of how much the UK has lost in tax revenue. Yeah, I'll leave the little total when I speak about it. New road tax system apparently to be put in place.
Fuck's sake.
Great, lovely, thank you very much. As long as it's abolishing the old one, then maybe all right, but it's still a hike. Carers allowance scandal. DWP to reassess hundreds of thousands of cases in carers allowance scandals. Britain in growth emergency, going by the business secretary omits. Latest on the budget update. And parents outrage with asylum seekers.
What's new?
So I'll start, and I'm going to start with the parents' outrage because of the fact I think it's a quick one, but it's a potent one, which I don't know what the fuck the government think they're doing on this, but there you go. Parents have protested outside a primary school against English lessons for asylum seekers during class times at a primary school. What the fuck are you playing at, government? Seriously, right? I can understand it in a college or a university because they're adults conversing with adults. But you're putting them next to fucking minors. With everything that's going on, are you just trying to get yourselves kicked out? Seriously.
I can't even defend this. And I'm the guy that defends hard-working, genuine migrants. I can't defend this. How can I defend that?
Just people learning English in general, regardless whether they're asylum seekers, whatever, in a primary school
is a problem.
Is a problem. The fact that with all the crap...
How did they not see that?
With all the crap we got going on with asylum seekers at the moment, yeah, you're just inviting trouble.
Oh my God.
You really are.
I can't. I mean, I'm the guy who does it. I'm the one who tries to defend genuine hard-working migrants here. I can't defend that.
Mums and dads of children who attend Dartmouth Primary School in British and Glasgow gathered outside the school gates on Monday.
Stop. It's in Scotland.
Yeah.
They're the most pro-migrant people you can possibly come across. This is Scotland.
These people are quite diverse and they're protesting. That should say how much of a stupid idea it is.
Scotland is the land of they will accept almost anybody as long as you're genuine, kind, good and wholesome people. There is going to be problems here. That's fucking stupid.
Outside the school gates on Monday for the protest reportedly organised by the self-proclaimed paedophile hunter Alex Carney and podcaster Craig Hudson.
Now, Alex kind of is controversial by his actions, so be careful about that. And is that from the Express?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why. He has a bit of a controversial reputation, so pinch of salt on what he's doing. But he's not wrong. Involving the controversy that he's engaged in, he's not wrong in his protest.
He actually has a fucking point.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put adults in a primary school learning English, even if they weren't migrants.
Local media reports that the parents joined the protest over concerns unvetted people would attend the lessons and that some kept their children off school. Glasgow City Council has insisted that individuals who have signed up for the classes are existing members of the school community. The Express understands the classes are for parents and carers of children at the school and they are not left unsupervised. A spokesperson for the council said the local authority would tolerate racism or bigotry in schools, claiming the campaign was misguided and toxic.
You can't be misguided in this situation. You're talking about teaching English in a primary school.
You should be doing that in a university or
college. You know,
especially involves adults.
Two brain cells together could have sorted that out. Basic common fucking sense, Glasgow Local Council.
You're inviting trouble.
Yeah, you are literally walking into that one. That's like it's their own fucking goal, Scotland. And I'm a big defender of the Scottish people in how they behave and how they operate, and they are the better part of the United Kingdom when it comes to moral positions. They are the more moral of us, next to the Welsh, us the Irish third, and then the fucking you guys really, you're more into your money than you are about your morality.
Don't care.
Exactly my point. So I mean, Scotland, this was an own goal. You can't really sit on that one.
I appreciate money and peace, and money buys peace these days. So tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. Peace comes from community and cohesion.
But you still need money to fund that community.
Cohesion is just as important as the money. I'm not saying the money point isn't important. I'm saying that community cohesion is important.
Yeah, but it's still relevant to the point, the fact that money buys peace, which is what everybody wants on some form of scale.
Since we're moving from are you done with that one, yeah? Yeah. So let's go with the Windrush 𝐼 fears, repeated of citizen scandals. The new Windrush commissioner has warned of the dangers of unintended consequences from tougher UK asylum laws. In a wide-range BBC interview about his government's appointed role, the revered Clive Foster said that he wanted discussions with ministers about how to prevent a repeat of the Windrush scandal. Very valid point of view. Government proposals designed to tackle illegal migrants. They're not illegal as of yet. They're illegal when they overstay. I think we need to keep making this point very clear because the press, even the BBC, are now stating it, that they're illegal migrants. They are boat migrants seeking asylum. They're illegal if they stay over. That's where they become illegal. I get tired of having to explain that. Would give people granted asylum only a temporary refugee status subject to review every 30 months. Chris is a bit more draconian than that. This fucker says 90 days, every 3 months. Mr. Foster is concerned about potential mistakes and said lessons needed to be learned from the Windrush when thousands of Commonwealth citizens were wrongly classed as illegal immigrants. See, that's where we have a problem. What happens when this new fucking system fucks up like that? And that was horrific, Chris. These were hard-working, tax-paying Britons who had been living here, some of them 50 fucking years, with children and grandchildren, having never broken a day in law.
Well, surely then they qualify for citizenship.
No, that's the whole point. For whatever reason, under Windrush, they had settled status. They didn't need citizenship. So they hadn't applied for it, obviously.
Yeah.
But they had grandchildren, they had children, they've never broken the law, and they were being threatened with being forced to be deported. That was the scandal about the Windrush. These are lawful migrants, been here 50 years, not even had a fucking speeding ticket, Chris. Me and you have got speeding tickets.
I haven't got any currently.
We've had them, is what I'm trying to get at. We live in a countryside where when you come on a road, you're belting it because you have to. Or you take fucking ages to get anywhere. All right? The fact of the matter is, these are people who didn't even have speeding tickets. There's no fucking reason why they should have been on a government format, other than the fact that they were migrants from the Commonwealth, and mostly from the Caribbean areas. This scandal involved people from the Caribbean who responded to an invitation to rebuild the UK after World War II, but the Commissioner said it also affected Commonwealth citizens from Africa and South Asia, particularly Bangladesh. Many were later denied jobs, housing and NHS treatments, and some were wrongly deported because of the Home Office's failed to keep records or issue paperwork confirming that these individuals leave to remain. See, that's the point. Even though they've been here 50 years, paid taxes, never broken a fucking law, it was a clerical error, and that's what he's worried about. These are lawful migrants, Chris, people who got in via the legal method. He has met more than 700 people in the UK-wide Windrush listening event tour, where he said some victims wore military medals to show how proud they were to be. Military service fucking men were almost deported. Tell me that's wrong, Chris. People who are willing to spill blood for mine and your freedom.
What the fuck are you playing at? Seriously, it's just getting a bloody joke.
That's what we're trying to get at. And this is where Nigel Farage will fuck this up. Horrific. If Labour, a centralistic, slightly left party, it can make these mistakes.
I won't call it a centralistic.
Authoritarian leftist. Is that better?
Yeah, that's more like it, yeah.
The reality is, if they can fuck it up, what will reform do?
Screw it up.
Do you know what I'm saying? This is something you need to be very, very careful about, Britain, as we discuss these matters of immigration. And they are sensitive matters. We need sensible, centralistical people, not Keir Starmer, not Rachel Reeves, not the current Labour leadership. Labour MPs, sack your bosses. Me and Chris will make a second reservation about you. Get rid of everybody on the top job, replace the entire government. We will then talk about whether we support you or not. Mr. Foster hopes his new role can galvanise people with influence and reveal that he's briefed the King, Queen and Prince of Wales at Windsor Castle last week. He said that there needs to be more focus on the fairness, compassion and justice. Absolutely. Justice is very much a point that I want to make clear. Adding he was worried about the impact of increased diversity rhetoric. On my tour, I heard people talk about how their concerns that the hard-won gains over the years of safeguarding citizenship may be lost as a result of this type of rhetoric, he added. What's really concerning me is how people feel a disconnection to the country that they should be calling home. The Commissioner told the BBC he also wanted assurances that the new asylum legislation is designed with humanity and proper stress testing to avoid a repeat of the Windrush scandal. I completely agree with him. Because we do not need lawful, good migrants who are here to work and benefit the system, Chris, getting fucking deported. Yeah, me and you agree. Send the criminals. Fucking bend the bastards who are in jail out the fucking door by morning. I'm talking about people who are wearing fucking medals, serving countries. That shit does not need to repeat again.
They just need to do the fucking homework before they start turning around and making stupid decisions. But we all know what the government's like these days. They don't do the homework. They do what they think is the best interest, and then go, shit, we fucked up.
These temporary immigration statuses would also be reviewed every 2.5 years and could be revoked if the country of origin is deemed safe. The policy has been inspired by Denmark, where a government led by the central-left Socialist Democrats has presided over one of the toughest asylum and immigration systems in Europe. In Denmark, refugees are given temporary residential permits, typically of 2 years, and in effect have to reapply for asylum when they expire. What is important is that the balance to avoid illegal migrants, but there at the same time welcome legal migrants who when it's needed, said Daniel Forensens, Minister's Lars Lorek. I can't pronounce his Danish name. The Danish Foreign Minister. Do not ask me how to pronounce Danish names.
Fucking hell.
Before announcing, I'm better at this than Chris is, and that's Danish. Okay, those are Scandinavian. The Danish Foreign Minister, Lars Løkke, I apologise for butchering your name, sir. Before announcing her proposals, Mahamoon said illegal migrants was tearing this country apart, and that she saw tackling it as a moral mission. Yeah, moral that you get it right. In response to Mr. Foster's concerns, a spokesman for the Home Office said it was consulting people on how to get these reforms right, but it had learned lessons from the Windrush scandals to ensure such an outrage can never happen again. Ah, bollocks. Ah, bollocks. I don't trust this. This current Labour government is dog shit in comparative. I have never seen a more incompetent government, barring possibly Boris Johnson's. That is the benchmark of incompetence. Do you not agree? Boris Johnson is the benchmark.
He set the standard.
He did. He set the standard for fucking useless. And Keir Starmer's government isn't much better than that. It is, but not by a large amount. Mr. Foster also raised his fears of repeating the Windrush scandal when his UK listening tour came to Nottingham on Sunday. He said British-born children of Windrush victims have been refused a job or bank account because they cannot prove their right to UK citizenship. Fucking hell. Tracy Richards told the audience her husband, George, suffered years of fear, pain and silence after struggling to prove his immigration status decades after arriving from Jamaica as a child. The Commissioner added many elderly victims were still struggling with the trauma of what happened to them and are still fighting for compensation. But he said the 118 million has now been paid out to victims, and he was confident the government was now listening to the concerns after a long period of injustice. In October, the Home Office announced it would accept 3 of his recommendations to improve the Windrush compensation scheme. Older applicants now will be prioritised. Victims will now be compensated for lost pensions, contributions and immigration fees. And 75% of finances offered can be paid off before the outcome of any challenge. Mr. Foster said, my big priority is to continue with the compassion and listening to people and making sure the compensation scheme is faster, fairer and swifter. The Commission added the HMS Passport Office was reviewing its policies after he interviewed to help an 80-year-old woman with cancer to return from Ghana. Fucking sending 80-year-old cancer victims to fucking goddamn Ghana. She's probably been here since she was a teenager. The fuck are we doing, Britain? These are lawfully sat people working hard, paying taxes. Oh, my skin fucking goes. I get irritable at this shit, Chris. Fucks me off. Because this is the kind of shit that Farage dreams about. That's why that man is fucking bad news, Britain. Bad fucking news. Because these are the kind of horror stories he probably goes to bed with a glass of fucking milk. Like we're from V for fucking
God.
Vendetta. You know, the Chancellor. I know I'm quoting a film here because he does. He's that cartoon kind of level fucking evil. But he is cartoon level evil. Go on, that's over to yourself before I fucking bust a blood vessel.
This may annoy you even further. Brexit loses UK up to 90 billion in tax revenue a year.
Fuck me.
New analyst shows. Come down. Brexit is costing the UK up to 90 billion a year in lost tax revenue in new analysis shows just days before Rachel Reeves prepares to hike levies in her make or break budget. It's going to break her. The average Britain is also thousands of pounds worse off, leading to calls for the ministers to fix our broken relationship with Europe. As Miss Reeves sets out for her budget on Wednesday, the government's official watchdog is also expecting to confirm that leaving the European Union has been even more disastrous than previously thought.
Of course it is. It was always a bad idea.
Last month, Miss Reeves said the Office for Budget Responsibility, the OBR, would be pretty frank, but the Brexit had a bigger impact on our economy than even was projected, because they fucked it up. A new study this month from the highly respected US think tank, the National Bureau of Economic Research, found that the economic damage since the 2016 Leave vote had resulted in the UK GDP being between 6% and 8% smaller than it could have been. New analysis by the House of Commons Library estimates the Brexit is costing the Treasury up to 90 billion a year in lost tax revenue, and the average Britain has seen a hit to GDP per head between £2,700 and £3,700. The Lib Dem leader, Sir Ed Davey, whose party commissioned the analysis, said, "This is why we have the highest taxes ever. That is why we have sky-high bills. That is why we have a cost of living crisis." He called on Labour to drop its red lines and negotiate a new customs union with the EU to fix our broken relationship with Europe.
I agree with him. I wholeheartedly agree with him.
I like the way the fact he says a new customs union, yeah?
Yeah, no, because the legal point of view is an argument that you can have. Even Liberal Democrats, myself included, genuinely find that you can't go back to the legal stronghold that we were in prior. We need a customs union. We need the single market. Even you on the lawful side would say...
I want the EU market because it makes deals better, it brings the cost of everything down, and therefore makes everyone better off. Not just us, but also the EU, EU as well, because there are benefits to both sides. Hence the reason why.
And would you have a problem with the freedom of movement of the teenagers and kids between both us and that side?
As long as it's educational purposes and they actually obey by the terms of the visa and everything else, I'd have no issue with it.
You see, that's one of Europe's sticking points. They want the kids to be able to interact with each other.
Why not? Because in fact, if their kids could come over here to learn certain thing, ours could go over there to learn certain thing.
And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
To me, it's just expanding knowledge of the youth, ready for when they take over.
Yeah.
Providing we haven't fucked it into the ground beforehand.
We're trying not to. Me and you are fucking fighting for it.
But the fact that it's costing us, up to 90 billion in tax revenue a year.
Lost.
Mind says that even though we were trying to get out of the legal side of it to stay in the market side of it. They completely fucked the goddamn shit.
Remember, Boris Johnson was the cheerleader, but the architect, the fucking architect of Brexit.
Cameron, wasn't it?
No, Nigel motherfucking Farage.
Oh, for fuck's
that
sake.
cunt is the architect of Brexit. UK Independence Party, remember those cunts?
Yeah.
His previous party? He was an MEP, constantly calling, Britain should leave, Britain should leave. He is the architect of that 90 billion black hole we've got.
No wonder why he's trying to make sure that every local government is saving bloody thousands, because in fact he needs it to recover the 90 billion that we're losing.
Remember that motherfucker made a 300 million a week fucking promise to all of us.
300 million a week? Where is it then?
Where's our fucking money,
Where
Farage?
Is it, Farage?
Fucking joke. And this is what makes me angry, that so much of my country is willing to consider this man for Prime Minister. Are you out of your fucking mind, Britain? He fucked you in 2016. Sorry, man.
I'm hoping he's learned from his fucking mistakes, and
he never needs to be allowed. You do not fucking damage us like that economically.
As much as Nigel Farage is a piece of dog shit turd running reform, some of his actual leaders are actually doing correct stuff in budget saving within local councils. There are the one which is actually doing it correctly. Yeah. But the leader itself, I won't trust him as far as I could throw him.
I'm going to be brutal here. As far as I'm concerned, reform is a detriment to the United Kingdom, and stands as a detriment. And I'm not even, I'm an ex-Conservative fucking voter. I almost became a Conservative councillor. That's how much on the centre right I used to be. And to look at the horrifying damage done to us, 90 billion. That's our fucking money we've lost because of this man's fucking business. Ignore all the migration business. Put all that to the side. We are 90 billion out of pocket, Chris.
If we had that 90 billion, think how much lower the tax every house would be.
Yeah. Cost of living would be down. Cost of fucking Britain.
Cost of living wouldn't really jump at all if we get that 90 billion.
Fucking 90 billion a year. That's not over a parliament. That's 90 billion a year.
Yeah.
Oh, the billah.
So much it's costing us a year.
Leaving the single market was the greatest fucking mistake done by the political class.
We just needed to leave the political legal side and kept it within the EU market. I think that was the goal of people saying to leave Brexit, but the government took it far too many steps beyond and fucked everything else up.
Well, that was 14 years of conservatism. Literally 14 years of conservatism. And that's killed their party. Me and him used to be staunch conservatives. It's killed their party. Killed it, stone cold dead. Done incredible damage. Are you still going, my boy?
No, that's still on that one.
Okay. Minister denied budget leak have damaged economy. The Transport Secretary, Hayder Alexander, has denied leaks ahead of the budget has damaged the economy. Following criticism, the speculation has caused paralysing among businesses and consumers. You're a fucking idiot, Alexander. You're a fucking idiot, because it has. It clearly has. We observe the political spectrum every week. And the leaked budget has done enormous levels of chaos from our observation. Recent months has been dominated by media reports about what taxes could increase with multiple potential measures floated by the government. Yes, that has caused problems, uncertainty, difficulty in dealing with. The leak was a fucking horrible mess. Whoever leaked it should be fired. Former Bank of England chief economist Andy Hadrin told the BBC Sunday with 𝐿𝐼𝐸𝐵𝐺's programme that there was a single biggest reason why economy growth has flatlined. I completely agree with him. Completely agree with him. Speculation about the taxes up to her tax budget going on this Thursday has been a massive mistake. But then what do we expect from our fucking Chancellor? In response, Alexander said that there was always speculation in the run-up towards a budget, but the Chancellor has been clear about her priorities. Chancellor Rachel Reeves is widely expected to increase taxes in her budget on Wednesday to help fill a multi-billion-pound gap in her spending plan. Ministers had given strong indication that the government was planning to increase income tax rates. Anonymous briefings to the media from government sources had also suggested Reeves was considering the move, which would have been a clear breach of Labour's election promise not to raise the basic higher or additional rates of income tax. However, last week, government sources said Reeves had decided against this after a better than expected economical forecast. Government sometimes chooses to leak aspects of the budget plans in the media, either to test public reaction or prepare the ground for measures so they do not come as a shock to financial markets or voters. Haldeman branded the months of speculation about potential budget missions a physical fandango. I completely agree with him. Absolutely fucking agree with him. It's been brutal, hasn't it? Speculation has done enormous fucking damage to the economy.
Well, it's many people go, well, hang on, what's this budget going to do? Hang on, go hold off on doing anything.
Yeah, they're not spending, they're not buying, they're not speculating. The British economy is a spend and movement economics. You go out, you spend money at the shops, you buy stuff, you sell stuff, you buy stuff. That's how the economy remains moving.
At the moment, they're probably all just going, right, I just need the essentials for the stuff for Christmas, essentials for living, then I'm not doing any extra purchases.
Until I know what I'm doing with the budget.
Yeah.
There's been costs for the economists, he told the programme. It's caused paralysation amongst business and consumers. He said the budget process was too lengthy, too leaky, with real costs. Hadden acknowledged that the pantomime had also happened under the previous governments, adding that the budgetary process has been derailed over many years. Challenged over whether the leaks had damaged the economy, Alexander told the programme, people always speculate in advance of a budget, and we have to always say to wait until the budget. Defending the government's approach, she said that the budget process has taken place on shifting stands, with a downgrading to productive forecast and a very challenging global economical environment. The Conservatives have called for the investigation into a pre-budget leak, saying that it had real-world consequences, including financial. You motherfuckers set that tone. You Conservatives need to shut your fucking hole and take your medicine when you are wiped out of the polls at the next election when it comes. You fuckers set this mess up. You gave us Boris fucking Johnson and all that mess for 14 fucking years. You take your fucking medicine as it comes, because I'm telling you, whether or not Farage gets to where he is or whether different parties eat up the loss of your fucking electorates, you are dead. You need to stop talking. You need to go off into the political fucking wilderness and die, as far as I'm concerned, because you gave us this mess. I'm still angry with that fucking party. You stop laughing again. In a letter to the Treasury, most senior civil servants externally, Shadow Chancellor Mel Strider said either ministers have approved the widespread briefing of confidential information surrounding the budget or serious unauthorised leaks have occurred within your department. No, the government has let it out because clearly they're doing this to try and soften the blow and test the public's reaction. And the public's reaction has been outrageous. It's done damage. It's done incredible fucking budget damage. The Chancellor is expected to set out a range of smaller tax raises in her budget after backing away from increasing income tax rates. However, the government has not ruled out extending the freeze on income tax thresholds, the level people start paying taxes on having to pay higher taxes. This freeze means any pay rises would see people paying more tax, whilst more people are dragged into the higher tax band or have to pay tax on the income for the first times. Reeves also said that there will be focus on cutting the cost of living, with the government announcing that the rail fare in England will be frozen next year for the first time in decades. Other priorities. It's already fucking monstrously too high. You don't need to be freezing rail fares. You need to be telling the companies to bring down their profiteering or threats of nationalisation. That's how you control the fucking fares. You warn the companies, if they don't lower their prices to the British public, they will lose their licenses and their access through eminent domain. Okay? That's how you deal with the fucking... If you don't want to go through the paperwork of nationalising these companies, which they should, yeah? Me and Chris are big on the nationalisation of the rail, the water, the electric, the fucking entire national services that we built. Yeah? Nationalised a lot of it. And then bring the Japanese company in to fix the fucking rail system. Pay them. Please fix that. Thank you very much. Here's your money. We then pass it on. That's how the system should work. Fucking useless. Fucking useless. Freezing skyrocketing fucking goddamn train fares today is not going to solve anything. They must be brought down. There has been a pressure from Labour MPs to remove the cap, which was introduced under the Conservatives, a move that could cost more than $3 billion, according to an estimation by the Institution for Physical Studies think tank. While she refused to confirm the cap would be scrapped, Alexander said tackling child poverty was in the DNA of the Labour Party. One of the defining elements of this government for me is about what we can do to ensure that children's chances in life aren't determined by the size of their parents' bank balances, she added. The Conservatives have argued against removing the cap, with Strider telling the BBC it was a matter of fairness that parents who are on benefits should have to make the same choices about whether they can afford the bigger family as those who are not. The Shadow Chancellor told 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 the big choices at this budget now is, does the Chancellor have the backbone to control government spending, particularly in areas of welfare, when some of those costs are spiralling out of control because you fucked up our country? Every time the Conservative fucking backbenchers open their mouth, I want to punch her in the face, politically speaking, because you gave us 14 years of this mess and then led to a 𝐾𝐶 government where the country said anybody but the Conservatives. And that's why they're even contemplating fucking voting reform, because this government is that fucking useless. Oh, over to you, because I'm going to get more angry.
I'm going to do the latest budget update. Tie it in. This is from The Independent. Voices want a budget millennials won't hate, starting by taxing life nuances. This is going to be interesting. I look forward to the budget. That budget, like I look forward to a rammed tube carriages, A&E waits, and 80s symphony hold music. I detest, yet I must persevere. With the cost of living crisis now biting so hard that last week I saw a curry, one singular chicken madras, cost £26 on Deliveroo. What the fuck?
Oh my, I'm glad I cooked my own curries. Holy shit.
Rachel Reed's recent request that each of us must do our bit makes me shudder, because so many British taxpayers have no bit left to give. Her own bit, in fact, has been to come with a 1p coin's worth of raising income tax off the backs of working people. A bad idea, only worsening by her U-turn, which give the distinct impression she's not got a clue what she's doing.
She doesn't. She doesn't.
To help out, I thought I'd offer up a different bit. How about a government putting the tax burden on the people and things that really cost us all? I'm talking about the so-called vice taxes, which have been around since 1643, when excessive duties were slapped on beer and tobacco and could effectively raise revenue from even more of social's worsening inherent, or that I call it a hated-based tax system. I'll start with all flashy cars that herald their own on arrival with a bang, from Belgravia to Tower Hamlets. It would be nice if London streets sounded less like an F1 circuit or a rally meetup. We'd already have cameras to push speeding drivers, so why not take it further, Chancellor? Fix them up with a whizzy little microphone and a fine for all boy racers driving cars like a rat-a-tat, like a battalion of blasting AK-47s. What about the ultra-processed foods I keep gobbling up? Can the tax man save me from my addictive charmed self? As a scientist explained to Dr. Chris Van Tucklen for his recent book on the subject, a UPF is not food, it's an industrial produced edible substance that is so-called noodle tax, named by the kind of clever doctors who want to see my wholesome and delicious post-party snack at a pack of noodles never pot taxed just like tobacco products. It is already happening in Colombia, putting it in reportedly 44 billion per year, and proving that taxing everyday vices is hardly unheard of elsewhere. I have other clever ideas, particularly for social media. Sure, the Online Safety Act threatens to hold big tech to account for allowing harmful content to be published, but what about the day-to-day ills caused by overconsumption of popular trash and needless conflict? I would apply a levy for every video of a violent incident on the UK street that isn't prefaced with a 30-second clip of an average day in the life of that same street. There are no no-go zones in the UK, just no-go moments. And every effort to portray the UK as a uniquely collapsed cesspit of horrors is deeply unpatriotic.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, and the Ofcom should fine any big tech company allowing us to video content between midnight and 6 a.m. I have a quote you study here about the university dismissal effects of brain rot, but everyone's too brain rotted to actually run that study, which rather proves the point.
Who the fuck is writing this? I like this person.
We lived in a divided society, of course, yet most reasonable, decent people agree that some distasteful evils are completely optional activities deserving of crying out for a draconian punishment. By taxing those evils, the government will give the public the chance to laugh about the general state of things without laughing at you, Chancellor. You might not be able to give us exactly what we want, but we couldn't. But you couldn't. You maybe just take away some of the things we hate. By my calculation, the Great British Republic's enemy is our friend. After all, that might be the easiest win Chancellor gets this year.
I like that. But who wrote that? Who wrote that fucking article?
Should say at the top, shouldn't it? Opinion by Sophie Wilkinson.
Sophie Wilkinson, you've made me fucking laugh. That was fucking brilliant. From the Independent. Love it.
She makes a very good point now.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you trying to increase this where we don't want to increase, instead tax the other things which are not doing us any good? Yeah. I'm sorry, but
putting taxes on on processed fast food is always a good thing.
That means McDonald's will go even higher.
To be fair, taxing places like McDonald's would be a fucking good thing. I'm sorry, it would. Hey, you know, I could see you as a chancellor involving McDonald's, yeah. I won't raise taxes on your disgusting food if you deal with the fucking goddamn fiddling going on by your management and franchises. You know they won't. They'll just say, we'll take the tax, sir. Because we know they can't corporately sort out their franchises to save their fucking life. We'll take the tax, sir. Well, I thought so.
They'll go out of business.
I just, fucking brilliant piece.
Next point.
Yeah. Jailed ex-leader of reform in Wales' ancient history, says Yusuf. The Reform UK head of policy, 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞𝐿, I'm not even going to mention about the fact of how much the Muslim community of Britain does not like that man, has described Nathan Gill, the disgraced former leader of the party in Wales, as ancient history. He was not the former leader of UKIP or the former leader of fucking Reform UK. He was the Independence Party. He was the former fucking leader of the Reform Party inside of Wales. That is not ancient history. Your party is not, your current party in its current form is not that old.
So that's the new party, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 𝐾𝐿 received a 10.5-year sentence on 21st of November after admitting to taking around £40,000 in bribe for pro-Russian interviews and speeches. Mr. Yusuf said that he had never met 𝐾𝐿. Yes, of course, because you've only been in the party like a breath of air, and all know him of, and all he knew of him was he had read in the newspapers saying his actions should not besmirch Reform UK. Absolutely, it should. In the coming after, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, challenged Reform UK leader Nigel to set up an investigation into Reform UK's Russian links. Mr. Yusuf appeared on Sky News, where it was put to him that there are people who will ask why should they trust what Reform UK says about Russia, given that one of their top people took money from Russia. They did take money from Russia. In response, Mr. Yusuf said, I think that would be an incredulously unreasonable position to take. No, it's not. He was a party fucking leader of a region of the UK, for fuck's sake. Mr. Yusuf, who was previously the chairman of Reform UK, added, Nathan 𝐾𝐿, what he done was treasonous, it was horrific, it was awful. He's not been dealt with, he has now been dealt with by the authorities. He deserves the sentence that he's gotten. But as you've just said, this is a guy which, as far as we're concerned, is ancient history. No, he's not. No, he's not. He was the Reform UK leader of Wales. Mr. Yusuf said he had never met 𝐾𝐿. That's entirely reasonable. Yusuf, you haven't been in the party that long. You have not been in the party that long. And it was unreasonable to besmirch Reform UK, Nigel Farage and the party's millions of supporters. No, it is absolutely justifiable to besmirch you. If that had been the Conservative or the Labour Party, there'd have been fucking public outcry. 𝐾𝐿, 52, from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐽𝐿 Anglican, is thought to have received £40,000 to help pro-Russian politicians in Ukraine during his time as a member of the European Parliament, when he accepted money from 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞𝐿, 44, a man once described it by the US government as a pawn of the Russian secret services. At the Old Bailey, Miss Justice Chairman Grumman said 𝐾𝐿 had abused his position and eroded public confidence in democracy. 𝐾𝐿 was a member of the UK Independence Party, who then followed Mr. Farage into the Brexit Party and ultimately was, for a brief period before falling from grace, Reform UK's leader in Wales. He was the UK leader in Wales of Reform. Mr. Yusuf's remarks come after the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, challenged Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to set up an investigation into Reform UK's Russian links, adding that 𝐾𝐿's actions undermine our country. In response, Mr. Farage said that 𝐟𝐾 needs to investigate Labour's links with the Chinese Communist Party. Plum Cloud leader in Westminster, Liz Savas-Roberts, called Mr. Yusuf's comments deeply troubling. Labelling Nathan 𝐾𝐿's ancient history, despite these events unfolding less than 5 years ago, is a cynical attempt to sweep political threatening truths under the carpet. She's completely right. Nathan 𝐾𝐿 was not some distant footnote in Reform's UK's evolution. He was a trusted ally of Nigel Farage. He was. There are hundreds of fucking pictures of him and Nigel. She called on Reform UK to support a full investigation into the Russians' interference in British politics. The Liberal Democratic leader, Sir Ed Davis, said Mr. Farage was previously paid to be on Russian President Vladimir Putin's TV channel, Russian Today, adding, we must all ask, where does his loyalties really lie?
With Russia, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking after 𝐾𝐿 was jailed, Sir Ed said, a traitor was at the very top of Reform UK, aiding and abetting a foreign adversary. Nigel Farage and his party are dangerous to the national security. Completely correct. Nigel Farage himself was previously paid to be on Putin's TV channel, Russian Today, and said he was the world leader he admires the most. We must all ask, what does his loyalties really lie? We all need an investigation into the Russian interference in our politics. Absolutely agree with the Liberal Democratic leader. Nigel Farage was paid to be on a Russian TV show. One of his top aides, the fucking leader of Reform UK Wales, has just been indicted and sentenced to a decade in prison. Reform UK, you cannot ignore this. This isn't something you can sweep under the fucking carpet. Your opinion?
He does need to be investigated to see whether he's got Russian backing.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time investigate Keir Starmer, see if he's got Chinese backing. Because all I'm sniffing is communism trying to get in on both doors.
No. Putin isn't a communist.
Is he not?
No. He's a raving fucking Russian nationalist.
All right.
He's bad, Chris. He's bad news for the UK.
whichever way, it's not good either side. So
he's a raving fucking nationalist, mate. Yeah, bad fucking
raving nationalist for Russia on one side.
Communist on the other side,
which wants to impose national ID, digital ID with social credit score and carbon score. Yeah.
Fuck off.
I think Britain just needs to do this to everybody.
Ouch. Anyway, back over to you, my boy.
That involves that to America as well.
Little bit of a trade deal with Europe, and the rest of the world can fuck off.
I'll turn around and go, I'll take all trade deals, politically all of you, fuck off. It's the only way to go.
Yeah, I completely agree with my colleague.
All right, let's go with Britain in a growth emergency. British Business Secretary admits. Britain is in a growth emergency, the British Secretary admitted yesterday, as it was revealed that the budget forecast will tomorrow downgrade the UK's outlook, as the Office of Budget Responsibility prepared to lay bare the dismissal reality of Labour's handling of the economy. Peter Carl conceded that the nation was suffering from low, slow, uneven growth. He was also forced to admit that it was Labour's government's own punishing tax policies that have driven the exodus of wealth creators from Britain. And last night, Rupert Smalls, chairman of the Confederation of British Industry, blamed Labour's ill-judgment budget last year and incoherent strategy this time round for making things worse. Mr. Smalls said a deliberate policy of kite flying about measures to be announced tomorrow, some of which have been rolled back, he added, to the pain and created lasting damage. Speaking to business leaders, Mr. Carl sought to reiterate Labour's claim that the previous Conservative government is to blame, but OBR figures to be published alongside the budget tomorrow are set to reveal that in months since Chancellor Rachel Reeves' spring statement in March, the economic situation has deteriorated. I'm sorry, Labour. You trying to pin it on the Conservatives?
They did set... Yeah. No, stop. They did set them up for fucking bad choice. Remember, 14 years of incompetence.
You trying to solely...
Yeah, so
blame
Labour has to take some blame in here. There's no question about that.
Solely trying to blame the Conservatives is gone out the window.
Yeah, completely. Because you've been in power now for nearly a whole year. Yeah, you can't just sit there and fucking say that the Tories, 14 years of Tories, they gave you a shit start. Absolutely. You've had a whole fucking year to fix this.
They will downgrade annual growth forecast for next year and for remaining years of the current Parliament. Sky News reported yesterday it comes after previous reports that the OBR has slashed its outlook for productivity growth, the ability to do more with less. These numbers underpin the forecast for growth of overall economy, and that ultimately makes it more difficult for the Chancellor to balance the books, because lower growth means less tax revenues for the government to spend on public services. Oh, I got my own opinion on that, which will be coming up in the budget thing that I am going to research and give my opinion on. Reeves, take notes.
The man is getting the metaphorical chainsaw out.
Or as Reeves likes to say, stop mansplaining things to me.
You're in one of the most powerful positions in the country. There's no mansplaining. Everyone has a right to criticise government.
Economists believe that will result in a 30 billion financial black hole that Rachel Reeves will seek to repair largely with tax hikes.
Oh my God.
Even though critics are warning that these could further damage growth and create a so-called doom loop. Her last budget has already been blamed for holding back the economy after imposing some 40 billion of tax rises, largely through a 25 billion raid on employer national insurance.
That was necessary though, because the insurance level had been low for fucking ages.
Recent figures show that unemployment has risen to its highest level in 4 years.
That's
Growth has slowed to a crawl, and inflation is the highest among the G7 group of advanced economists. Yesterday, business leaders gathered at the CBI's annual conference were told by Mr. Carl that Britain needs to reverse nearly 2 decades of slow, uneven growth. 2 decades.
Well, that's definitely got Tories involved, mate, because they were there 14 years.
That's not just Tories, that's Labour as well.
Yeah, of course. There's 6 years. There's 6 years. Yeah, absolutely. absolutely. There is an enormous level of damage that comes from both of those. Fucking Jesus wept. That's horrific, mate.
The business secretary also turned on critics of Labour's economic record, describing them as modern-day Jeremiahs who take a perverse pleasure in predicting economic doom and gloom, but he also lamented the economy's slow progress. We inherited a growth emergency and we're still in it, he said. In an emergency situation, you have license to do things you don't have at other times. And I'm looking really closely at what those measures are. What are things we can do that shock our economy into growth, inspire our economy into growth? That's the kind of debate I think we need to have. Yet in Sky News interview earlier, Mr. Carr admitted that it was a worry for the government that some people felt they need to leave the UK to succeed.
Fucking Jesus Christ. That is damning. People need to leave the UK to succeed. Jesus Christ, Chris.
Do you know what we need to do? Reform the tax system.
Yep. We say it 2 seasons on, it has not changed our tone. Reform the tax system.
And stop our spending outside of Britain.
Fucking Jesus wept.
Because I've seen some of the figures and I'm like, fuck you, you could go fuck off and sort my own country out first.
Some of the biggest successful men and women in the world have said, you cannot build unless you yourself are strong and united and have your business in order. You cannot fix yourself outside if you haven't fixed yourself. Whether it's financial, emotional, social, political, you need to be on a solid basis to help others. Those are pretty sound advice. That's pretty sound. And I'm not
that covers all bases.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Solid structure means
then you can help others. It doesn't even need to be from a monetary point of view. Do you see what I'm saying? And Britain is not in a solid space, not even remotely.
If anything, it's in a black hole that's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It does. In fact, it's scary. You done with that one, my boy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over to my last point. Farage says he's never directly racially abused anybody after school racist claims. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has insisted he has never directly racially abused anyone, following complaints from 20 people he went to school with. A Guardian investigation externally spoke to contemporaries at Dulwich College who alleged Farage made racist and anti-Semitic remarks to them, which a spokesperson denied. Speaking directly to a journalist about the allegations for the first time, Farage, 61, was pressed on what he meant by direct and replied by taking it out on individuals on the basis of who they are or what they are. He also ruled out holding an investigation into his own party following the jailed of former Welsh Reform UK leader Nathan Gill for taking pro-Russian bribes. Among the allegations in The Guardian are that Farage joked about gas chambers and that put about another pupil in detention when he was a prefect for the colour of his skin. When asked about these claims, Farage responded, "Have I said things 50 years ago that you could interpret as being banter in a playground? Then you can interpret in the modern light of day in some sort of way? Yes." He added, "I've never directly racially abused anyone, no." Nigel, if you talked about putting someone in a gas chamber, that's fucking racist. That was racist when we were kids. Okay? I'm sorry. That's fucking racist.
That's a big fucking no-no when we was kids.
Well, you never joked about gas chambers when you were a kid. What are you fucking on? Are the private schools run differently from the fucking public schools?
I reckon they are.
Pointing towards political disagreements with some of his school peers, Farage also denied having ever been part of an extremist organisation or engaged in direct, unpleasant personal abuse, genuine abuse on that basis. Pressed on whether he would say categorically that he did not racially abuse fellow pupils, Farage said, "I would never ever do it in a hurtful or insulting way." You're a cunt, Farage. You're a racist piece of shit. And I need to say that. Asked whether he has perhaps said things to fellow pupils that had not intended to hurtful or racist, but he took it that way, I hope not. And asked whether he had said things at school that people might have taken offence to us without any shadow of a doubt. And without any shadow of a doubt, I shall say things tonight on this stage that some people will take offence to and will use prerogative terms about. This is actually in some ways what open free speech is. Sometimes you say things that people don't like. Nigel, you're a closet brown shirt. You are exactly what Hitler called the outside influence. You are mind werewolf. The children who would rise up again from the very evil my grandfather lost brothers fighting for. I am disgusted at people like you, and I will always be disgusted at people like you, who go out of your fucking way to be nasty bastards to human beings.
A person you should never trust with anything.
No, of course not.
Or as far as you could throw him.
Absolutely not. When asked if he would apologise to the people claiming he had been racist towards, Farage replies, no, I'm not, because I don't think I did anything to directly hurt anyone. Farage, who was an MEP from 1999 until 2020 and was a UKIP leader from 2026 to 2009 and 2010 to 2016, was also questioned about his former UKIP MEP colleague Nathan Gill, who was jailed for 10.5 years last Friday, after admitting taking bribe money to make pro-Russian interviews and statements when he was an MEP. Gill was the first elected in Brussels as a UK MEP in 2024, became Brexit Party MEP in 2019, sticking with the party when it became Reform UK, and became the Welsh leader in 2021, although he failed to get re-elected shortly afterwards. In 2021, that's only 4 years ago. That's not ancient history, Yusuf, just so we're clear on that. That's memorable Brexit history. Speaking at a Reform rally in Lynedon, North Wales, Farage said Gill was briefly leader of Reform Wales. The fact that Gill took bribes is, of course, an absolute and total disgrace, he said. We disown his actions and we disown what he has done in every single way. In a separate interview, Farage was asked if he needed to investigate any other Russian links within his party. He said, I'm not a police force. I have not got the resources. You're the party fucking leader. He added he thought that there should be a broader investigation into Russian and Chinese interference in British politics, suggesting MI5 should conduct it. Farage said he was also confident as I can be that no one else in Reform Party or present has done similar things to the former Reform Wales leader, labelling the issue a very minor embarrassment. No, it's not minor! This fucker took bribe money from a country that considers us their enemy.
I'm just waiting for more to pop up now.
Oh, they're going to. You can fucking smell the rat piss coming. I had no engagement with him, and nobody in my leadership team has had any engagement with him whatsoever. Asked if they meant that he could not rule out that there might be people in the party that might have spoken to him since his arrest, he added nobody is in authority. Responding to the accusations of racism during Farage's school days, Liberal Democrat President-elected Josh Barber's MP said the Reform leader refuses to deny that he had said these racist remarks in unbecoming form, someone who wanted to be our next Prime Minister. The British people deserve a straight answer. It looks like this mask has slipped. The fact of the matter, Farage is turning into a no answers Nigel. And Labour accused Nigel Farage of claiming you can racially abuse people without it being hurtful and insulting. Lord Michael Katz, a Labour peer and former chair of the Jewish Labour movement, called on Farage to come clean about the claims. He said failure to do so would be yet more evidence that Farage is simply unfit for office. He said just what you thought Nigel Farage couldn't sink any lower. He's trying to say abhorrently racist comments, including vile anti-Semitic incidents, doesn't matter. He seems to think that you can racially abuse people without it being hurtful and insulting. Let's be crystal clear, you can't. Absolutely. He's talking about gas chambers. That was wrong when we were kids. The fuck? The fuck? Jesus Christ.
And people, this is the one that you want to take over from the Labour Party.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Labour are good people. Let's be very, very clear about this. Neither me nor Chris say the current Labour government is worth a pile of dog shit. We don't.
The authoritarian party that wants to control everything.
Yeah, we don't appreciate them. We think they're vile. We want them gone, this current government. That doesn't necessarily mean the Labour Party itself. I think there is redemption in the Labour Party, Chris. You might not necessarily think so. There might be. We haven't seen it yet. But people need to get their fucking finger out their arse. I cannot stand another 4 years of fucking 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. Oh.
Got another juicy one for you. This is mainly for the drivers.
Oh, fuck's sake. Here we go. Here we go.
Bear in mind, this is from the Express, so please take it with a pinch of salt. 11p per mile charge for drivers from Wednesday in tax hike plan.
Jesus Christ.
Drivers could be forced to pay 11p per mile on average to run an electric car following intensive speculation that Labour is looking at a new tax system for EVs, set to be announced on Wednesday. It has been reported that Chancellor Rachel Reeves is set to unveil a 3p per mile tax on EVs in a speech on November 26, when she also sets out tax and spending plans thought to include possible.
This is electric vehicles, isn't it?
Yeah, EV cars. Yeah.
To be fair, they've got away with this for so long. If you had the money to buy an electric vehicle, you have the money to pay tax on it.
Hang on, no. All after a certain year, it doesn't matter anymore. You pay car tax anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything, I can't remember which year it is, but I know for a fact from a certain year, all vehicles, regardless what, is to pay car tax, including EV cars.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just a new thing to try and get more money. So it's been reported that Chancellor 3 spending thoughts include possible manifesto break, including income tax or national insurance rises. With the cost of running EV per mile currently on average about 8 pence per mile on a typical home standard tariff, according to which figures that would take the cost per mile to 11p, combining the charging cost with the tax. For those with special EV off-peak charge tariff, currently averaging 2p per mile, it would be more than double over cost to 5p per mile. On Monday, the Press Association reported she is thought to be considering bringing in a pay per mile tax for electric vehicles and limiting on how much workers can stash in their pensions under salary-specific schemes before paying national insurance. Now that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
You can go kiss my ass on that. You've worked hard enough. Your pension is your pension. You ain't touching it, you greedy little bitch.
She's going to try. She's going to fucking try, Chris.
If she's going to try, I will move the shit out of my pensions into something she can't fucking touch. I can do.
I fundamentally find that the reason we continue to spiral into this system is, as we said, there needs to be tax reforms. There needs to be overall reform of the entire financial system of the United Kingdom. There needs to be taxes applied to corporations that pay less tax than me and Chris do as individual citizens. There are corporations in Britain today, massive ones, that can afford entire law firms and entire bloody accounting firms, who are paying tax less than what we do per year.
The scheme is set to be implemented in 2028 following a consultation and would cost EV drivers an average of £250 per year, according to the Telegraph. The scheme would see users estimated how far they will drive in the following year and then make an extra payment on top of their own road tax. Oh man, she's damn stinging them. Yeah.
EVs are going to get smacked, mate.
Talk about stunt to the fucking goddamn growth of the world. Jesus. An experiment are officially known as vehicle excess duty. Even though the new tax, the cost of running EV would still be significantly cheaper than petrol or diesel, according to which. It is said, for comparison, the cost to refuel a typically large petrol or diesel SUV is 50 pence per mile, based on paying £1.34 for petrol and £1.40 for diesel. When since did it fucking get that cheap?
Don't know.
That should say, oh, I'm taking £1.34 for petrol, it's cheap.
Remember that from your own statement just earlier, the electrical cars are only going up by about 8p. That's really cheap comparatively, Chris. Comparative to us in the petrol driven. We drive petrol driven vehicles.
Yeah, but that's tax. That isn't how much it costs anyway.
Yeah.
Government spokesperson refused to rule out pay per mile EV tax. They said fuel duty covers petrol and diesel, but there's no equivalent for electrical vehicles.
This is the thing I actually agree with, because the electrical vehicles have had very few fuel duties, relatively speaking.
We want a fairer system for all drivers whilst backing the transition to electric vehicles, which is why we have invested £4 billion in support, including grants to cut upfront costs by up to £3,700 per eligible vehicle, just as it is right to seek tax systems that fairly fund roads, infrastructure, public services. We will look for further support measures, making our own electric vehicles more convenient and more affordable. AA President 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐿 acknowledged that the Treasury faces losing fuel duty revenue by urging the government to tread carefully to avoid slowing the transition to EVs. He said we need to see the detail of the proposal to assertion whether these new taxes will be equitable or a poll tax on vehicles.
See, now, he used that language, poll tax, deliberately to defend it because poll tax was so unpopular in our parents' generation. Like, it started fucking riots. Like, mine and his dad really kicked off in the poll tax era. My father closed down his shop during the poll tax stuff.
Damn.
Yeah. And he dipped into savings to feed my family. Shut down shop, like whole sections of where my dad used to work closed down during the fucking poll tax riots, mate, because of how bad it was. Fucking bad, horrific, Chris.
You done on your subject?
Yeah.
In that case, one more on me. DWP to assess hundreds of thousands of cases in carers allowance scandal. Hundreds of thousands of vulnerable unpaid carers will have their cases reassessed. Unpaid cases reassessed after a damning official review concluded that had been left with huge debts because of the government failure and what the fuck?
Where is that?
Maladministration.
Yeah, maladministration.
Maladministration. The review due to be published on Tuesday was triggered after a year-long Guardian investigation revealed how carers have been hit with the draconian penalties of as much as 20,000 relating to carers allowance. Some were plunged into hardship, others were jailed.
Jesus Christ!
That's disgusting. Ministers have promised to cancel or reduce penalties that were wrongly issued after the review concluded many were the result of official error rather than willful rule breaking. However, the government has stopped short of offering compensation to those affected. It understood compensation was both considered by the review and by the ministers, but it is not one of the published recommendations of the review, heading by disability policy expert lists. I can't pronounce your second name, sorry.
Where is it, mate?
𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭.
𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, yeah.
Yeah.
𝐿
Stress, ill health and anxiety endured by carers were pushed into debt and hardship by carers allowance failures emerged in a series of Guardian articles over the past 20 months. Many carers said they were harassed and treated like criminals by the DWP staff. Hundreds were convicted of benefit fraud. It remains unclear what will happen to the carers convicted of the benefit fraud as a result of the official mistakes.
Their cases have to be dismissed and damages have to be paid. That's the end of that conversation.
Obviously, we can't rule out some didn't fiddle the books.
Yeah, of course. But if there's an official mistake,
everything needs to be reviewed and gone over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
completely.
There's no getting out of it. If there's been a mistake, everything needs to be reviewed straight off the bat. And the person and the people who have made these mistakes need to be fired. There needs to be consequences. This is what fucking irritates me, is how little of these civil servants get fired over this shit. How can you make a fucking mistake when it comes to carers? Seriously, they're the ones that look after the elderly, the vulnerable, and everything else. If anything, I'd make this system as simple and as unbreakable as humanly possible. Unquestionably, the people who have made that fuck up should face punitive actions and probably lose their jobs as civil servants to whoever made that clerical error. I want to know what the fucking goddamn system is to get the carers allowance. Literally, surely it should be a case of fact, you're a qualified carer. Okay, what for? Okay, that means you then get this much. And then it's adjusted accordingly due to economic costs. The DWP is a nightmare system, Chris. It's a nightmare system. It should be absolutely simple as sodding possible. Everything I've ever heard about the Department for Work and Pensions is that it is Byzantium and nightmarish. From all of the friends and people that I used to associate with who would use the system, it is horrific. Horrific. Says to me they're just trying to keep as much money as humanly possible and pay you out as least as possible. Absolutely. The DWP is draconically nasty, so I've been led to believe. But
this is, as always, the end of podcast 23. And it hasn't been a positive one today, unfortunately. We've unfortunately come towards a lot of bad news, a lot of dirty politics going on with Nigel Farage, and the tax system looks horrible. Next week, podcast 24, we will be discussing the budget that as it comes out. And in podcast 25, Chris is going to go through a large section of the budget, and we're going to also have some backwards and forwards about our time in McDonald's and how that has changed over the last 10 years.
Episode 25 will be the budget special, and then we'll have a separate special a week just before Christmas, which will cover the McDonald's stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've done the time frame. He's misreading it.
My partner's got it sorted. It's something like that. As always, I'm John, Sean, or Yaka, depends on who you're asking.
I'm Chris.
And it's been a pleasure having you here. This is Your Voice, Your Nation.
And have a smashing day.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.